Happy Wednesday, Paul Hadley Middle School. It is Wednesday, April 29th, 2020, and here's your daily video announcement. A few reminders right off the bat. Number one, you need to do your attendance quiz. Next, you need to read the short story that I have assigned to you today. It is about Theseus and the Minotaur. It's a Greek myth. I've always found mythology to be something that was interesting, and I thought that you might also find it interesting as well. So that's why I chose that story for today. After you get done reading your story, you need to answer the questions that are posted in the assignment, and then you can move on to another class. Now, what do you need to know about the material today in order to really fully understand the story, and then the questions that go along with the story, and then what we will do tomorrow and what we will do on Friday? Well, you're going to read a story about a hero named Theseus. Theseus comes from Greek mythology, and he is one kind of hero that we find in literature. Now, there are several kinds of heroes in literature, and that's what the theme for this week is going to be. The hero shows up as the protagonist of the story most of the time. It's the person you root for. It's the good guy, quote unquote. Now, what kind of heroes are there? So here are the different kinds of heroes that you most often will see in literature. Number one, you'll have what's called a classic hero. A classic hero is just a normal person with one big quality that makes them stand out. An example of a classic hero is Harry Potter. He is a very kind of normal kid within the environment, in the world in which he lives, and he has this one thing that makes him stand out, in which he survived the killing curse of Voldemort by his mother's love. So that made him stand out. Other than that, he is a very, very normal, average character in this world. He doesn't have abilities that stand out from the rest of the people around him so much. Other characters can do exactly what he does. It's just that he has this one thing about him that makes him stand out. So that's a classic hero. Number two is what we call an everyman hero. Now, an everyman hero that name is supposed to kind of remind you of what it is. So an everyman hero is supposed to represent every man or every person, man or woman. So it's a person who is like super normal. There's nothing that distinguishes this character from any other normal kind of person. Most protagonists in most stories would fall into this category. It's just a character who's able to go through a problem, find a solution to it, to have everything come back to normal and the problem gets solved. That's an everyman hero. The next kind is a superhero. So this is kind of the polar opposite of an everyman hero. Superheroes, they have either are born with or they obtain later in life some sort of superpower that sets them apart. Superman is a really good example. Spider-Man is a really good example. But all of these characters have some sort of super ability that normal human beings don't have. That also brings into question, well, is Batman a quote-unquote superhero kind of character? And yes, because he has incredible intelligence and incredible physical attributes that set him apart. He's stronger, not supernaturally stronger, but he is able to take a beating where normal people could not. He also has super wealth, which does count as kind of a super ability. The next kind of hero is called a tragic hero. A tragic hero is a flawed hero. It causes pity or fear from the audience, and their negative experiences come from their own mistakes or fate. There are several examples of tragic heroes throughout the history of literature. One of the most frequently cited examples is Romeo from Romeo and Juliet. He's the hero, one of the heroes of the story. He's the protagonist. He is fated to die. He thinks that because Juliet is dead, that he is fated to die, and so he also makes the decision to drink poison and die. Another kind of tragic hero is Peter Pan. He's alone because he doesn't want to grow up. So his choice on not wanting to grow up has caused him loneliness and to be alone. Anakin Skywalker is also going to be a tragic hero. He has hate and sadness about the death of his mother, and that leads him to the dark side. But in the end, he gets redeemed, and he's able to save the day, sort of save the day, for Luke Skywalker at the end of the Return of the Jedi. Another kind of hero, and this is what Theseus is going to be in today's assignment, is called an epic hero. An epic hero is usually from Greek mythology, though not always. They're seen as heroic and legendary. They have some sort of noble birth, or they're a demigod like Hercules. They're an unmatched warrior. They're humble. They battle evil by traveling to exotic places. They battle supernatural foes. So these are going to be epic heroes. Some examples: Odysseus from the Odyssey and the Iliad. You also have Lancelot from the Knights of the Round Table and from the King Arthur mythology. So you have Lancelot, who goes on and he beats all sorts of foes. So he's an epic hero as well. And then finally, we have an anti-hero. This is personally my favorite kind of hero, and some of these kinds of heroes can overlap from time to time. An anti-hero will have the opposite characteristics of what you would think of as a normal kind of hero. So they're not always noble. They're people that have like these deep character flaws. They do have character traits that are usually reserved for like villains. They're conceited, they're greedy, they're rebellious, they're dishonest. Captain Jack Sparrow from the Pirates of the Caribbean is a really good example of an anti-hero. Michael Scott from The Office is an anti-hero because he's a lot of times very self-centered, very selfish, out to get a laugh for himself at the expense of others, but in the end he does kind of do some good things here and there. Shrek is an anti-hero. You know, he is very selfish in that he doesn't care about what other people are going through. He just wants a swamp back. Han Solo is a really good example of an anti-hero. He's somebody that you really, really like in the Star Wars universe, but he is always out for himself. Wolverine is also an anti-hero. Now, what are you going to do now? Those are the kinds of heroes that you need to know about for today. You're going to read Theseus and the Minotaur, an epic hero from Greek mythology going in and battling a supernatural villain. So that's going to be your assignment today. Answer the questions and then you're able to move on. If you have questions, please message me through Canvas. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow.